Hey kids, I've got a great October Halloween story by Dav Pilkey. He wrote Captain Underpants and he wrote a bunch of other great books, but this is called The Halloweener, and it's really funny. And I think he's the guy that wrote Dogman. And if you look at this picture right here, these characters look a lot like his Dogman characters. He's an author and an illustrator. I love this book so much. We had it at the book fair last year, and you're just going to love it. By Dav Pilkey. And look, there's all hot dogs on there. They wrote the words with hot dogs. Ooh, and here is, Wiener Dog, otherwise known as a dachshund. And this book's birthday is 1995, which just goes to show you that a great book never gets old. Fall leaves. Once there was a dog named Oscar, who was half a dog tall and 1.5 dogs long. Because of his unusual shape and size, all the other dogs made fun of him. Wiener dog, they called him. And Oscar did not like it one bit. Oscar's mother was no help either. Every morning when the dogs walked off to obedience school, Oscar's mother stood in the front yard waving and calling out, "Farewell, my little Vienna sausage." Look at the cats. And the other dogs laughed and laughed. Look at their little faces. Oh, look, this is really cool. Today's lesson, sit and stay. And see this dog? He got in trouble and he had to write on the board. It's the old chalkboard. "I will not sniff my neighbor. I will not sniff my neighbor." And the teacher is reading a book called Dogs Who Hate Fleas and the Fleas Who Love Them. And look at out the window. They're making faces. Most of the time, Oscar was upset by all this, but not today. Today was Halloween, and Oscar was thinking about other things. All day long at obedience school, Oscar daydreamed about Halloween night, trick-or-treats, and scary costumes. That's a daydream in that bubble right there. Look at him. His tail is wagging. Now, when Oscar got home, he dashed upstairs to start working on his scary Halloween costume. But when he got to his room, a surprise was waiting for him. Look at this picture. There's the tail. There's the body. Look at his mother. And it says, "Happy Halloween to Oscar, love, Mom." "Happy Halloween, my little sausage link," said Oscar's mother. "I've made you a costume to wear for trick-or-treats." When Oscar saw the costume, he nearly fainted. It was a giant hot dog bun, complete with mustard. And guess who was supposed to fit in the middle? She's taking his picture. Look at the sweat. Oscar did not want to hurt his mother's feelings, so he decided to wear the silly costume. Look, and he gave her a kiss. He chose not to disappoint his mother. He didn't have a little fit. He said, "I'll wear it." Look at that costume. Would you? This is a dog of unusual character. That night, all the dogs on the block gathered to show off their costumes. Everyone was looking very scary. And then Oscar showed up, looking quite frank. You know another word for hot dog? Frankfurter. When the other dogs saw Oscar in his silly costume, they howled with laughter. "Look at Oscar," they cried. "He really is a wiener dog." Poor Oscar was so embarrassed. Wiener dog," laughed the other dogs as they ran off to go trick-or-treating. Oscar tried to keep up with the other dogs, but his silly costume kept slowing him down. All night long, the other dogs hounded every treat they could get their paws on. So by the time Oscar got to each house, there were no treats left. Soon, trick-or-treating was over, and the dogs walked home past a spooky graveyard. Suddenly, a horrible hissing sound filled the air. The dogs stopped, dead in their tracks. And then, out of the graveyard, rose a ghastly monster. The dogs screamed, "Ah!" and ran for their lives. They dropped their treats and jumped into a nearby pond. There they are, jumping in the pond. The monster moved closer. "Please don't eat us," cried the dogs. The monster yowled and hissed. Sobbed the dogs. The monster jumped up and down. The dogs yelled, "Somebody save us!" Look, they're shrieking down. Just then, somebody showed up. It was Oscar. Because Oscar was so short, he saw something that the other dogs had not seen. "That's no monster!" cried Oscar with a loud bark. He waddled to the rescue. See the feet under the monster? Oscar chomped and tugged on the monster with all his might. Rap! And there, standing in the moonlight, were a couple of ornery cats. "Help!" cried the cats. "We're being attacked by a giant frankfurter!" And they ran off screaming through the graveyard. Ah! The dogs in the pond had seen the whole thing, and now it was their turn to be embarrassed. "We've been chased into a pond by a couple of cats," they moaned. Imagine dogs being chased by cats. Very embarrassing. But Oscar was a true friend. He leaped into the water and he swam out to the dogs. His silly costume made a wonderful life raft. All aboard! All the dogs climbed up and he dog paddled back to shore. When they got back to dry land, all the other dogs shared their treats with Oscar. Because Oscar had been so very brave, the dogs changed his name from Wiener Dog to Hero Sandwich. And from that night on, nobody ever made fun of Oscar again. Happy Halloween. It was good, wasn't it? He wrote another book called Dog Breath, The Terrible Trouble with Halitosis. Cat Kong, Dogzilla, 'Twas the Night Before Thanksgiving. He wrote The Dumb Bunnies, and he wrote a bunch of other great books like Dogman. So, Dav Pilkey, the Halloweener, really funny, really good. Happy Halloween.